Today on BRStv, we're going to give a short overview of corals. We'll start with some easy corals for newer reefers and work our way through to some more advanced species, with a brief overview of why some are more challenging. The easiest to care for corals are polyps, mushrooms, and some soft corals or leathers. Most of these species don't require a ton of effort. Corals like zoanthids, rhycordia, mushrooms, and xenia do well in newer tanks because they have moderate light and water flow demands. They tend to be a bit more forgiving when it comes to water quality as well. These are also amongst the fastest growing corals, which makes it easy to quickly add color and movement to a tank. The next group is commonly referred to as Lps Corals, which stands for large polyp stony corals. This group includes popular corals like frog spawn, torches, brains, bubble coral, candy canes, hammer corals, and popular acans. Most of these corals don't require intense light or water flow. In fact, some of them, like blastos, do best in fairly low light and moderate water flow. Lps corals do require a bit more effort than soft corals, polyps, and mushrooms because Lps corals have a calcium-based skeletal structure. These corals pull elements like calcium and carbonate from the water to build this structure. These elements will need to be replaced to maintain proper water chemistry as well as maintain coral health and growth. If you only have a few Lps corals, maintaining these elements can often be done with a simple regular water change schedule, which is part of standard maintenance anyways. As the corals grow or you increase the quantity, you can start dosing with easy-to-use additives like 2-part or kalkwasser. There are tons of commonly available test kits out there to test for these elements, the most common being calcium, which obviously measures calcium levels, and an alkalinity test kit is used to determine the amount of available carbonate. If you don't like test kits and prefer a digital readout, there are also some handy colorimeters which are nice. The next group is known as Sps Corals, or small polyp stony corals. This group includes corals like Bacillopora, Acropora, bird's nest, Monopora, and lettuce coral. Most of these are considered to be more demanding because they require medium to intense light, high quality water, and high flow, preferably in a somewhat random pattern. They also consume calcium and carbonate from the water fairly quickly, so will have to be replaced daily, which can sometimes be done by dosing kalkwasser, but more frequently it's done with daily additions of 2-part calcium and alkalinity solutions or with a calcium reactor. You might be wondering what low to medium or high light intensity is. Low is typically considered fluorescent lighting with relatively few bulbs, or some of the more inexpensive LED options. Medium is typically higher quality fluorescent lights like T5, low wattage metal halides, and some mid-range LED options, or higher end LEDs which have been dimmed. High intensity lighting can be achieved with a high quality T5 fixture like those produced by ATI, which combine a large volume of bulbs with very effective reflectors and a fan-driven active cooling system. This type of intensity can also be achieved with the 250 or 400 watt metal halides and some of the better LED options. If you happen to have a par meter available or plan on buying one, a good rule of thumb is many easy to care for corals like polyps and mushrooms can do well in the 50 to 150 range depending on the species. Many Lps corals do well in the 50 to 250 range, and many Sps corals do well in the 200 to 500 range. While most reefers initially will want to try putting them in the highest intensity possible, that's much more likely to kill them than starting low and working your way up. We mentioned various degrees of water flow as well. Low range water flow is probably in the neighborhood of 10 to 15 times the tank size per hour. Medium around 20 to 25 times, and a high flow tank can be as high as 30 to 50 times. For example, a 100-gallon high flow tank could easily have 3 1,500-gallon per hour pumps or 4 1200s. The easiest way to add this type of flow to the tank is with high flow power heads. These are relatively small pumps that spin an impeller or prop to move large volumes of water. One of the major benefits is the low cost and power consumption. The different brands vary in size, adjustability, features, and price. The two most popular are probably the Tuned Streams and Hydor Corellia. The Corellia is nice because it's reliable and amongst the most affordable options. The Tuned Streams cost a bit more, but can be adjusted in basically any direction and one of the smallest pumps available, which in my opinion makes it one of the most attractive options. The Sicce Voyager series is a bit larger than the others, but uses a clutchless design which allows the pump to last a lot longer on a wave maker. Some of them use an impeller rather than a prop, which allows it to start in either direction. If purchased from an authorized dealer, the motor comes with a 5-year warranty, which is about as good as it gets. For those of us that have a few bucks burning a hole in our pocket, there's the Vortech pumps by Ecotec. These are magnetically coupled on the glass with a prop on the inside and the motor on the outside. This reduces the footprint inside the tank and looks really sharp. They also come with a controller capable of linking multiple pumps wirelessly and producing a wide variety of flow patterns. I mentioned earlier many corals appreciate random flow patterns, so they're not blasted in the exact same way every day. There are two primary ways to achieve that. The first is a simple on-off controller which turns some pumps on and off at different times to create varied flow patterns. Even though most manufacturers say their power heads can be used this way, the on-off function will reduce the lifespan of the pump. Many of the vendors also offer a DC-powered version, which is more expensive but allows for true control of the pumps, such as slowly ramping up and down rather than simply on and off. They also allow for various pre-programmed patterns which can simulate ocean currents more accurately. That wraps up today's episode. If you'd like to be notified when the next episode comes out, subscribe to our YouTube channel or visit bulkreefsupply.com and sign up for our newsletter. Thank you for watching BRStv.